Well, hi everybody, back from lunch. And so we have Programmable Telecoms Evolution with our keynote speaker, Alan Quayle, who's the founder of TADS and the TADHack. TADHack Global and TADHack Chicago just took place here at IIT over the weekend. And so Alan is going to tell you about his views on programmable telecoms, its evolution, and then we're going to have pitches from the winners of the TADHack. So, take it away.
Okay, thank you so much, Carol. So the way we're going to structure this afternoon is you're going to be forced to listen to me for about 20 minutes as I ramble on about programmable telecoms and its, evolution. We're then going to have hopefully 3 pitches. We have 2 teams here, unless the third team is here. If not, don't worry. Well, when we see some people sort of wandering, looking slightly perplexed, hopefully we'll know we've got the third team here. So this is a great opportunity to see, not just the talk, but the walk as well in programmable telecoms. You'll see people doing some really cool stuff. Not going to take away their thunder. Let me, first of all, give you a little bit of background about why we're using this term programmable telecoms. So the first question, of course, is, does it exist? Is this some made-up thing that Alan uses to justify blog space and attention? So I'm going to give you some definitions to help you understand what programmable telecoms is. First of all, give you the acronym SOUP definition, or lead by examples. So of course it covers CPaaS, Communication Platform as a Service, so that's the old Telco API stuff. Then UCaaS, which is Unified Communications as a Service. CCaaS, which is Contact Center as a Service. All the open source telecom software that's out there. Increasingly, most of the platforms that are used today are built on CPaaS enablers, like Twilio Flex. But of course, there's many others that have been building enablers on Telecom APIs to make it as easy as possible for people to build and integrate cool stuff into their business. It also covers multi-factor authentication, instant authentication. This is something that happens behind the scenes. When you're logging into your bank, they do a quick check to see, is this Alan? Really? Is it his phone? What's his address? Does it match with our address on the database? They do a dip into the telco. And then they're able to get a rating in terms of, yeah, most probably is, or no, not. You need to go to additional security. This is all making the experience for users as easy and seamless as possible. Of course, Telecom APIs, WebRTC, and we've heard a lot from about WebRTC over the last couple of days, cloud communications, omnichannel, telecom infrastructure as code. Come to TAD Summit to learn more about that. Telecom service dashboard. So these are the GUIs, the graphical user interfaces, that mean you no longer need to be a coder to be creating new services, new applications. You can just basically cut and paste it together. And the myriad of UIs, making APIs, enablers, and services usable beyond coders. This is the shift that's happening. It's getting easier and easier for web people, for just a sort of general product manager, to get in, insert an API key, and then start doing some custom integration of services into their business processes. So there's the acronym SOUP, just some examples. For the geeks, we have an architectural definition. So at the bottom, we've got all the service aggregation across PSTN, IP. Of course, we've got the SBC firewall, and then you've got the Telecom App Server. So I think you heard from FreeSwitch guys yesterday. So Anthony was here talking about SignalWire and how he's going to disrupt the industry. So they provide the Telecom App Server and all the cool services that it supports, the SIP App Server, and of course the WebRTC application server gateway. Then layered on top of that are a whole range of value-added services. I lead with facts because actually there's a Chicago-based company, Faxio, and they got bought by Voyant earlier this year. So congrats to the Faxio guys. And then on top of that are a whole range of enablers like Twilio Flex and services, whether it's UCaaS. So for example, 2600 Hertz, competitor of Twilio, they have a UCaaS enabler that's called Kazoo. They were there first. Twilio came later in terms of enablers and a whole range of other capabilities. And of course, that's all the services focus. You then hold all the management piece, so API management, security, SLA, policy, all the way through to basic stuff like REST. And of course, we're seeing that evolving slowly to gRPC. And then that all gets exposed to enterprises, service providers, ITSPs, that's internet telephony service providers, managed service providers, brands, SMBs, you name it. Because it's getting democratized, a lot of these telecom services are getting bundled together to make it as easy as possible for a whole range. Even ISPs are now bundling up virtual PBXs. So that's the architectural definition. Then there's the keep it simple and stupid definition, which is if it's telecom related and it's programmable or even configurable, it's programmable telecoms. There you go. We virtually cover everything. And I've got a link there to a weblog I wrote looking at giving you a potted history. That means a quick summary of programmable telecoms with, at the end, I have some fun acronym definitions just because it was fun to beat up on a few things. So, bottom line, yes, it's programmable. It exists, and I hope I've given you a flavor that it's getting democratized. More and more people can get in and start using these capabilities to solve problems that matter to them. So, okay, if it exists, how big is it? Well, I'll give you a few market size figures. So we've got the CPaaS market. I'm just looking at the voice messaging piece. So that's about 8 billion by 2021, and it's growing at over 50% a year. There's UCaaS, so Unified Communications as a Service. That's about 33 billion. Now, that number does include a lot of the legacy stuff, but it's all migrating over to cloud-based. The SIP trunking, US is half the SIP trunking market in the world, and that's growing still. There's the contact center as a service, which is about 18 billion and growing quite fast. There's then some of the legacy A2P SMS stuff. Now, this is a bit hard. It's a bit fluffy to quantify because, unfortunately, telcos really don't measure most of the SMS traffic that goes over their networks. But it's around about 12 billion there. You've got global mobile authentication or multi-factor authentication, and that's around 11 billion. And then you've got mobile marketing. Twilio yesterday bought SendGrid, which is an email marketing company. They're spinning themselves as an email API company. But there you go. There's an example of how Twilio is integrating vertically up into the marketing space. IoT, enterprise comms, collaboration, charging, payments, wallets, all fall within this category. Because, of course, the mobile phone is a very powerful payment device, particularly in some markets. Again, what we're seeing around the world is a lot of diversification. You can't look at what you experience here in North America and think everybody's the same. When you're in Japan, it's a very different experience. Even across Europe, you've got very different experiences in terms of the services you can get access to. So it's big. You're looking at over $100 billion by 2021. And here, just 3 companies. So Twilio, Bandwidth, they both recently went IPO and Ring Central, and there you've got a combined value of 16 billion in the programmable telecom space just from those 3 companies. And I know for many people in the audience, Thomas Howe is somebody we know well, and of course I have to paraphrase what he said, but programmable telecoms is the essential spice of every ecosystem, not just business ecosystem. It's when we look at a lot of consumer ecosystems as well, again, it's important. So that hopefully is just giving you a quick understanding of what it is, the fact that it's growing, it's important, it's getting democratized. So let me now give you a little bit of background on TAD Hack. So we ran a global over the weekend. So we had about 3,300 registrations, about 1,000 people there across all the different locations, 20 plus locations around the world. Chicago was one and has been one since the very start of TAD Hack back in 2014. We had 4 locations this year where there were between 150 to 200 people attending the hack. They're a mega hack. That's a big organizational headache. And when you have sort of 20 or 30 people, that's a big enough headache. When you sort of take that up to 150, 200, it's amazing. But again, all the pictures are on the TAD Hack site. You can go there Search Twitter and you'll see all the activity that happened over the weekend. Now, what TADHack is a series of hackathons that help people learn about the latest internet, IT, and telecoms technologies. Now, I've focused on the start of this presentation on the programmable telecoms bit. But I do want to point out that with TADHack, it's technology application development. So telecoms is the root. That's where we grew out of. But we look at a whole range of technologies. We've had blockchain, IoT, we had Carrefour, which is a large supermarket chain. I guess this is the other team. Are you the... Great, excellent. I'm pleased you made it. So we will have 3 presentations. So just grab a seat, okay? And you'll be the last ones on, okay? Because we'll most probably need more time to get you set up. So this year, we had Status as one of the sponsors. Status is an Ethereum OS. Now, I'll be honest with you. When we brought Status on, I was a little worried because blockchain ain't simple. Status isn't simple, that you need to understand contracts, you need to understand gas. There's a whole host of moving parts to be able to use their platform. It's not like a simple API, which is just a HTTP request, but we had nearly 30 hacks built on Status. Status was very impressed. So again, well done to everybody who took part. Now, we don't have just global, we have lots of regional events as well. So that's why you see those numbers making a little, being a little different to what I just mentioned. And one of the founding principles of TADHack has been diversity. We run events all around the world, in Pakistan, in Bangladesh, in Sri Lanka, India, Australia, all around Europe, South America, and North America, because technology is again getting democratized and people can use these technologies to solve problems that matter to them in their communities, in their home and work life. I'm going to skip over this slide for the sake of time. As I mentioned, Status was one of the sponsors for this year. The other was APIs by VoIP Innovations. So that's core programmable telecoms. There's the locations that we ran. And for this year, we had lots and lots of partners. So I'm not going to list them all out. All I can say, I was very proud that this year we have burger chains as partners for TADHack. You know you've gone mainstream when basically the burger joints are wanting to partner with you. It was free burgers, what can I say? So I'd also just quickly like to send props to Cloud, that's down in the bottom right-hand corner, and to Redify, who came in at the last minute. Melbourne, the location dropped out. It was about 6 p.m. I was just having dinner, and I get basically the message that the Melbourne location that we were using had dropped out. Shall we cancel? And it was just like, no! But fortunately, we managed to find a location, so that was great. So just to give some props there. I'm going to skip over the essence of TADHack. This is just explaining, some basic background for those that don't understand what a hackathon is. But one of the things that I do want to emphasize is a lot of people don't get involved in hackathons because they go, well, I don't have good ideas. I can't have an idea, and it has to be good. And actually, it has nothing to do with the idea. It's actually identifying a problem and finding a problem that matters to you. So you look through your everyday life, in your community, at work, at home, and you look at the problems you see every day, we face every day. We all have lots of problems. And then you think about the technologies and how they could help solve those problems. And that is the essence of how you get a world-class hack. And as always, Chicago over-indexes in producing some of the best hacks of TADHack. Just some nice pictures just to finish on before we go to the pictures. So we began in 2014, and the guys in the middle there, you can see that was our very first Chicago hack. And then 2015, you can see we were getting larger. All the people in the middle there are from Sri Lanka, and that's the people that they select. We normally get about 500 plus registrations for TADHack Sri Lanka, and we have to go through a number of rounds of selection before we get to the few people that actually hack over the weekend. So we could easily be several hundred hacks, but there's actually a fair bit of selection. Then back in 2016, we managed to make it on breakfast news in South Africa. So the guy down there is the CIO for MTN South Africa, and he was on the breakfast news talking about TADHack. So we've even made it to TV. And then the guy next to him, that's the CEO for MTN Zambia. So as you can see, we are diverse. We're throughout the world. Then 2017, again, growing. We had a massive event in Kuala Lumpur. Again, Popian came on as well. So they're in Colombia. And then this year, we had a whole host of massive events all around the world. We had new locations. So, for example, Romania, so Bucharest, we had our first TADHack there, and they produced 8 or 9 really quality hacks. So a great job by the Romanian team. And just to do a plug, we have coming up in November in Lisbon, but of course it's available online, is TAD Summit. So while TADHack is all about technology, developers, and creativity, we do need to worry about bringing dollars in. So TAD Summit is where basically we focus on how we all make money out of what's happening here. So you're going to hear from some of the teams. So we're going to kick off, and this is purely accidental, but the first team we're going to hear from are SciSafe. So they'll come up and they'll get themselves set up in a minute. Then the last team we're going to hear from is Omana, and I managed to change the typo from Omanda back to Omana, so thanks for letting me know that. And we have, of course, PandaGuard. So these are the guys at the frontier that have been busy trying to get their demo set up. So that's the teams. That's what we're going to hear. So hopefully I've given you a little bit of understanding of the category, how big it is, all the cool stuff, what these guys have been part of. It's a big global thing. It's not just a Chicago thing. So what I'd like to do is to ask the SciSafe guys if you can come on down and get yourselves set up, okay? And what I'll do is while you're getting yourself set up, I'll take any questions from the audience, okay? So if you have any questions on what I just presented. There we go. Okay. There is nothing worse than setting up in quiet and silence, because you know everybody's looking at you, and that's when you start making fumbles. So shout when you're ready, but I'm just going to keep on jabbering to basically cover your setup. So do we have any questions? There is a lot of fashionable thinking taking place in this space. I'm, one of the, well, I have many rants, but one of them is this, oh, sorry, there you go.
So on one of the slides, you showed bandwidth, Ring Central, and to me, Ring Central and 8x8 are all kind of the same. But when I look at enterprise market share for that hosted platform, it's really tiny. Are they still going to have like a true impact because they're really tiny?
But did you see the growth rates associated with UCaaS? And hence the valuation at sort of 7 billion.
But it's just hard for me to see them actually being successful, because once you start getting the attention of that kind of money, then Cisco says, oh, I'm ready to take my BroadWorks and my broad cloud purchases and say, get away from me, you buy.
Oh yeah, then they just buy them out. And then they destroy the value as they normally do, and then other players pop up.
So bandwidth's interesting because they're kind of in the middle, but growing huge, and I see their value.
Exactly. But they're more focused just on the North American market, being very strong in E911, in meeting, I know they're expanding international, but if you look at where most of the revenue is. Yes, absolutely. But other markets are very different, so you can't, so you have to look at it on a market-by-market basis when we're looking at the CPaaS space. So I agree with you in terms of that assessment. I also agree more broadly that Cisco just does its stretch, acquires, I mean, we saw with Troppo. They bought a CPaaS player and then they closed it down and announced that it's closing down. So, there is, a great way to buy than destroy value. So, I don't deny, but I see the growth. Oh, are you ready, guys? Oh, sorry.
Hi, Alan. Quick question on the TAD hack this year. How many entries came from the blockchain space?
We have over 30 hacks that were blockchain related out of about 120. So, it was good. Can't grumble in terms of presentation because I was worried, I'll be honest, because it's not straightforward. But people got in there, and normally out of every location we were seeing, at least a couple. And, some teams are smart and they understand mashup. So we saw some like Berlin. Their team, I can't remember the name of it now, but it's all on the weblog. If you go to blog.tadhack.com, it's the top weblog there, and you can see all the winners and all the hacks that they put together. But again, 30, I think, is a nice start. And we learned a lot in terms of helping developers understand how to use Ethereum. And it's one of those things that I think, first time outing in, outside of the Ethereum community. Because most of the hackathons, ETH Berlin, you name it, ETH Brazil, all these hacks, it's just the Ethereum community coming together and sort of talking around that topic. With TADHack, we're just a very diverse group of people. They were able to hack, create value, and also to be able to contribute code into the status project as well, which was great for the first time showing. Are you ready, guys? Over to you.
So our team, comprised of Vishal, Ryan, Jay, me, Pavan, and Eddie, who unfortunately could not make it here tonight, built a safety app called SciSafe that utilizes VoIP Innovation's REST SMS technology as a core part of its functionality.
Did you know that since Columbine, major school shooting, over 215,000 students have been involved in school shootings? We recognize this number as an imperative problem, and we presented a solution in the form of SciSafe. So, SciSafe, you may be wondering how our app differs from other apps on the current market. Initially, we started with an emergency alert system, which allows the child to send an emergency alert to the parent if the child is in danger. Next, we implemented a boundary system which allows the parent to set boundaries in where the child can go. If the child exceeds the boundary, the parent receives an SMS. After that, we finalized our project with an alarm system which allows the parent to set a time in which the parent wants the child to arrive home. If the child doesn't arrive home by that time, the parent receives an SMS.
Now, an additional feature that we added to our app that distinguishes it from other apps is we add two different UIs in our app. One was a parent UI and one was a child UI. Upon logging into a parent account, as we see here, we see a simple user interface with one button. That one button corresponds with the child that's linked to that account. When you click that button, you're going to go ahead and see a Google map pop up and an SMS notification shortly following, and Vishal will go ahead and explain why that is.
We implemented Google Maps API and VoIP Innovation's SMS API to establish a consistent connection between the parent and child. To secure this connection, we track respective locations of all children of a parent account, as seen by this red marker that will shortly pop up. The red marker is updated every 2 seconds. If a child crosses a boundary, the parent is immediately notified via SMS that the child has done so and can be seen here. Thanks to VoIP Innovation's Telco SMS service, we were able to create this connection between the parent and child.
Now, another feature that we added to our app was an alert system in which the parent can get notified of when the child reaches home or if they're not at home. For instance, let's say that a child has soccer practice at 5 o'clock and the parents want them to be home at 6:30. If this is the case, the parents can set an alarm at 6:30, and at that time, our app will notify them if the parent has reached home or not.
Okay, so for demonstration purposes, we're going to set the alarm to be 1 minute in advance, and in approximately 1 minute, the parent will receive an SMS based on the child's location. If the child is at home, the SMS will read, "The child is at home," and if the child is not located at home, the SMS will read, "The child is not at home."
For demonstration purposes, we have logged into the child and parent UI, but in reality, user information is stored in a backend database known as Firebase. This allows for the automatic caching of information, which allows for the one-time action login. Next, we shall be talking about the child UI. The child UI is comprised of 3 buttons: green, yellow, and red. The red represents that the child is in extreme danger. The yellow represents that the child is in moderate danger and/or the child is unsure about her situation. Finally, the green button represents that the child is completely safe. Take, for instance, the event of a school shooting. In the event that a gunman is inside the school and the child has to go somewhere safe, the child cannot afford to exchange SMSs with their parents. For one, it is extremely time-consuming, and 2, it is extremely dangerous. Instead, using our app, the child can press the red button, and it can notify the parent that 1, that the child is completely unharmed, but 2, that the child is in extreme danger.
The lack of communication between parent and child is probably the biggest concern of any parent out there. So our app solves this by implementing long-term and emergency solutions. Long-term via the location geofencing, and emergency via the emergency SMS system that the child can utilize when they are in grave danger. Now, safety is important. We can all agree to that. But our app puts safety at our first priority. Thank you for listening.
Excellent. Do we have any questions for the guys?
You didn't really tell us how you did it. What did you use? What APIs did you use? What programming language? All that good stuff.
So we use Java and Android Studio. So we used that, and our front end was based in the XML that Android Studio provides. Our back end, like we said, was in Firebase. So we used Firebase and linked the API the Google's Firebase API, added a dependency. And we also plan on using Status's Embark system for encrypting our messages.
Okay, thank you.
Excellent. Any other questions for the guys? Again, let's give a round of applause for such a young team and an excellent hack. Well done, guys. Should we get set up? So now PandaGuard will get themselves set up. And we haven't tested out the USB-C to HDMI cable. So this is... Okay, no, give us that. There you go. Just unscrew. No, you need to take this off. And plug it in. Nope, side there. With VGA. You don't worry about the work. It should be good. Oh, wow. Okay. So, guys, do you need a couple of more minutes to get set up, or are you good to go? They're using Prezi. I hate Prezi. But they've won, so it doesn't matter how much I hate Prezi. They've won.
All right.
Are you good? Okay.
We're good to go. Do you mind? Yeah, I like to walk on. Right. Hello, everybody. We are PandaGuard, and the problem that we identified, or rather that we would like to solve, is a problem that's very close to my heart. It's because it's all about family, you see. The modern family today is an independent unit where everybody is disconnected yet connected at the same time. The parents don't have much communication with the children. The children, being children, obviously tend to, we tend to be have growing pains. So we don't like to communicate with our parents as much. And we tend to be a bit rebellious. So in this environment, how do you ensure that, everybody is safe, everybody is secure? And this problem is especially exacerbated when you consider, the security issues of today. Like, there was a school shooting a couple of blocks down 2 weeks ago. And there are a lot of things like this. In this world of dangers, how do parents ensure that at least home is safe? That is where we step in. Let's go to the website. Our main goal here is to give parents a peace of mind by giving them information. So how we do that? So each apartment is secured issued by a token using the ERC20, and that token will store all the information of the apartment schematics, the number of people living there, and the number of authorized users, etc., etc. So this will be stored in a scanner situated in the apartment. When a user, say the father, wishes to add a new member of the family, he would merely add a new token to the system, and now a permanent complementary token to the main token system of the apartment has been created. Now, from this, let's just say the family is throwing a big party. How do they ensure that all of their guests have access to the apartment, yet lose that access beyond a certain period of time? So how we do that? We create a temporary supplementary token based on each family member, which would then expire beyond a certain time limit. Say if the party ends at 12, then all the temporary tokens will expire at 12 p.m. This way we can ensure that no one is in the apartment beyond a certain time. And now, let's just say we have friends coming over. Of course, we all have friends come over occasionally. And this temporary token, every time issuing it, reissuing it, is a hassle. Let's say we have a babysitter coming over. How do we ensure, the time limits on that? How we do that? We create permanent supplementary tokens, which have, time limits stored on them. So let's just say your friend is coming over for 6 hours. In that case, you would go to our system, click on and enter your friend's token information, and you would also specify the time frame in which they would gain access to your apartment. So this way, we know that beyond this certain period of time, beyond 6 hours, when your friend is left, if they try to come back in, they won't have access again. Now, the best part about this is whenever unauthorized user is trying to enter the apartment, an SMS is sent immediately using APIs to the customer, in our case, the father of the family, saying, this random person is trying to enter your apartment. Please check your monitoring systems. So this way, we also ensure the fact that, to avoid break-ins and obviously create a more secure environment. Now, here's the part about kids. Let's say you want to know whether your kids have reached home beyond, because in this day and age, in most families, nuclear families, both parents work. So in order to solve that issue, we created a system in which, let's just say if the token of the child is not detected in the house beyond a certain time limit, it would immediately send a text to the head of the household saying, your child has not arrived in the apartment. Please check on them, so to speak. Now, another supplementary system that we're actually working on, or rather kind of perfected, is the Bluetooth beacon tracking system. Now, the only issue with that is right now we don't have any beacons to demonstrate. so we won't be able to do it. But how that would work is in case of an emergency, all the beacons in your apartment would start pinging from the app on your phone, and that would help us to track your location indoor to a precise XY coordinate. So this way we know where the users are and how they are moving and how erratic they are. And I'd like to hand off to Brandon to explain a bit more.
Thank you. Well, I'd like to thank Carol and the IIT team for allowing us to use their beacon technology using a platform called BOSA. And so the way that it works is the Bluetooth beacons emit a very low power data stream that tells you the transmit power, and based on that you can you can calculate XY coordinates if you have an array of them set up in a location. So we're able to track essentially where somebody is in a room if we had beacons all around here pretty accurately. And so you can send text messages if they've stepped out of that boundary or gone into an unauthorized area.
All right. So that is almost all the features we have right now. I'd like to thank Carol Davis for allowing us to use her Bluetooth technology. And I'd like to thank TADHack and IIT Media Lab for giving us this opportunity to work on a system. And last and most importantly, I'd like to thank my team members, without whom this project would have been impossible. Thank you.
Now, Carol, do you want to say a few words about your platform?
Maybe while the next group is setting up. Sure. So the BOSSA platform is one that we've been working on for several years, and our goal this year was really to offer it rather than ourselves make applications. We're offering it to the world. And as you say, it consists of an array of Bluetooth low-energy beacons, which we proactively put up in particular places, and we mark their locations on maps, and we have automated systems set up to do that. So as soon as we can obtain a map of a building, we can use our technology to place them automatically with their XY coordinates per floor, and we put in the floor number. And based on that, we have a back-end server that we record that information in a database, and then our server has back-end functionality that will calculate based on receiving a set of a set of identifications and RSSIs, so the received signal strength that the calling device has sent. Using that, they'll do a calculation and be identifying the XY coordinate of the caller, of the person that's being tracked, so to speak. So we've used that for emergency services, but we were interested to say now that we have this database, now that we have this ability to calculate your location, and we also are providing temperature and humidity. So given this, we thought many other applications could be built based on this. We've provided APIs to get your location. So we're thrilled that you were able to do this. And I think we have another project that's also using it. And we're offering it again next week at the AT&T First Responders as well. So rather than us be creating the applications, we're now giving you the tools with which you can create them. So thanks.
Excellent. Do we have any questions? Yeah.
Hi. I didn't really understand how the token works. So, say the host of a family wants to register someone that wants to enter in your home. The application generates a token that authorizes that person to come into the house, but what does the other person have to do? How do they enter the house, or how does it work?
So how this will work, at least right now we don't have the application set up. How this would work is there'd be a phone application that goes complementary with the system, in which the parent would send the link for the visitor to download the child token onto their application. So this way, when they're accessing the house, all they have to do is merely scan their token and they get access. Does that make more sense?
And how do you make sure that a person that is not related with technology understand this in order to help. So you can, I think it's kind of difficult for a person that is not related with technology to actually understand or even use this in an easier way to help them with their day-to-day lives.
In the long-term scenario, our system is not just for a family unit, it's for communities. What we see in the long term is to have communities using the system. Let's say in an apartment complex, if the entire building's using it, then obviously this technology would spread and ease of access would, exist. And this way we would be leveraging the community as a whole to secure the modern family.
Okay, thank you.
So let's show our appreciation for an excellent hack, mashing up. Thanks, guys. Okay, so can the Omana team come on down? Now, what connection do you have on your laptop? The video. Okay, let me get the HDMI. Okay, so while these guys are getting set up, what I'd like to do is just point out that we're a very open, decentralized hackathon at TADHack. And what we saw created here in Chicago is a great example. We have local sponsors all around the world. A lot of those local sponsors, whether it be MTN, whether it's IdeaMart, whether it's Carol's Lab, have platforms that they want people to hack on. And we have our global sponsors, in this case, Status and VoIP Innovations. And this we saw as a great example of how you're able to mash up the local platform from the local sponsor with the global providers, enabling quite interesting new applications for Ethereum, as well as, of course, using the good old Telecom APIs that have the advantage of ubiquity, that you can reach anyone on the planet. So the backup PC is arriving. So while we wait, do we have any other questions for the two, for PandaGuard and for SciSafe while we're waiting?
Hi. In regard to your BOSA platform, what's the level of redundancy? Like how many units have to go down before the XY coordinates don't work? And is it an open source project? Two questions.
So I think what you were asking is how many of my little beacons have to fail before my accuracy is no good? Yeah. So we use trilateration to figure out the location. So we need at least 3 beacons to be functioning. One of the problems that we addressed last semester actually was what about somebody sort of perhaps maliciously moving them. Say, take one from the 3rd floor and put it in the basement, and take one from the basement and put it on the 2nd floor. That would really make a mess out of the algorithm. So what we had several solutions, one of which we've already implemented, and one of which, now that we've gotten fancier beacons that have accelerometers in them, so if it's moved, so, you can either set an alarm or take some other alarming action to notify your people you need to roll a truck, essentially, do something about it. But before we had the accelerometer feature in the beacons, what we did was we kept history. So we knew what we expected the RSSI would be. Are we ready? Okay.
Okay, moving on, because we only have 10 minutes. Okay, so there you go. I would like to hand over now. Is it still working? There you go. It was doing that. It flashes on enough just to annoy the audience. So I'll hand over to you, okay?
Okay. Okay. Hello, everyone. Actually, we believe that an emergency situation might happen for everyone. And our project was actually an application who addressed this kind of problems, and it's an emergency alert system. Omana. Okay. Actually, the technologies that we have used for our product is APIs, the API by VoIP innovation, and WebRTC SDK. And also we have used Android Studio for our mobile application, and Firebase for our database, and Node.js for server-side our web application. How this application works? Actually, there are some there are some emergency messages on the application, and when a user is facing some emergency situation, that user might push the emergency button, and the location of the user will immediately send to the predetermined contact. Also, there are sometimes that the user doesn't have time to pull up the application, and this time the user might put the pattern of the password 3 times wrong, and at this time, front-facing image plus the location will send to the predetermined contact list, and also it will play a loud alert noise.
Okay, what makes our application different from others? Probably you can find some applications in stores to handling emergency situation, but in our application we focus on reliability and simplicity. In the next slide, I'm going to show you how. Here, I don't know what. Yeah, here there is a main page for our application in the right. As you can see, there is just one simple big red button. As soon as the user tap on this button, a predefined message will be sent to a list of emergency contacts. What I mean by emergency contacts, I mean that in this application, the user can add some contacts as emergency contacts. Here in the second slide, 6-second UI, there is a list of the emergency contacts that user already add in, and also he or she can add more contacts. And also there is another page which is settings. I don't know why it's happened. Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, I don't know what happened this thing. So in the third one, the user can define the message. I mean the message that will be sent to the emergency contacts. Also, this application, as she said, has another feature that when a user is in a situation that he or she cannot or does not have enough time to go into the application and do this stuff, he can just put the password 3 times wrong, and after that, immediately an emergency message will be sent to the contact messages. And here in the setting page, we can enable or disable those features. We are going to show you exactly this stuff in our demo, but before that, we are going to show you another cool features that we have.
All right, so as mentioned, we also have a web app for the first responder monitoring system. So, but because it's in development, so we only have a mock-up application here. So on the left side, we will have we'll utilize the VoIP API to do the WebRTC. So on the right side, it's the indoor positioning API that we, like we mentioned it from Carl, the API we're trying to implement. And there's also the Google API. Yeah, so we basically try to provide the first responder most efficient tool so they can gather the caller's situation if they're in danger. For example, maybe when I'm calling, I have a language barrier. I cannot explain well how bad my injury was. So I can just show them what I look like, my injuries, and they will know exactly where to find me and at that point. So, okay, let's do the demo for whatever we have on the Android application.
So we'll do the demo on the phone because it's not working properly. First of all, thanks for the opportunity to allow us to present our project here. So let's see our app. So we have very simple UI. The first thing you do is go to the phone book icon and you just add a bunch of contacts which you want to be your emergency contact list. So after doing that, if you feel like you are in an emergency situation, you click on the emergency button. And the message will be sent to those lists. So this will also trigger some more functionality, like it will also start recording the audio. This audio will be shared with the first responder team. Also, the image will be taken from the front camera and it will be sent to your emergency list. So your friends will know in what situation you are currently. So that's the other feature. But in the Play Store, you can find that apps like this are available. It's not something new. But we are trying to do something more with this app. So how our app is different is we have implemented something like password fail triggers. I mean, if there is an dangerous emergency situation, you don't really have a time to open your phone, go to the app and click on the emergency button. Instead of that, what you can do is on your phone unlock, just enter a password 3 times incorrectly. Okay. So it will trigger an alarm. Also, app will take a picture from the front camera and it will send to your emergency list. Also, in the background, it will start recording your audio. The audio will be shared with the first responder team. We are also implemented the beacon tokens. So how that will help is if the city is if the beacons are placed throughout the city, then the app can know like in what direction your phone is traveling, and that data can be shared with the first responder team, and they can know exactly what route you traveled, your phone traveled. So with the web app and with the password trigger failures, we are trying to make your lives, try to save your lives if you're in a dangerous situation. So that's about it. If you have any questions.
That was excellent. Well done, guys. So, I think a very handy app if you enter any consulates around the world. So do we have any questions? I know we're at time. Maybe time for just one quick question. If not, or I'd like to again just thank you again, guys. This was an excellent hack, mashing up a great range of technologies. Well done.
So thank you very much to Alan and the 3 teams for presenting their hacks and taking care of our keynote for the track today. We're at a break point, so if you would join us back here at 2 o'clock, we will have the final 3 sessions of the Programmable Telecom Applications track, and there are also presentations in the adjacent room. So thank you very much for your attention.